recording on OBS now. So if you want to kind of switch off your camera, this won't be a meeting recording, but this will be a only video recording that I am having. All right. So starting with visual thinking methods, as I said, this is not an exhaustive list. There can be many more. So the first thing that comes to my mind is nothing but a mind map, right? We kind of create mind map as a way, with a central topic or an idea, and then we start placing supplementary topics or subtopics around it, or something that we kind of think about, and then start jotting down. Second, a visual thinking method that I prominently use is 2x2 matrix. Okay, so mind map goes something like this. And I'll kind of we'll focus on two visual thinking methods today, and kind of take the other ones in the other sessions. 2x2 matrix kind of works in a way that we create a chart kind of state, and then create a matrix so that there are 2 rows and 2 columns. Okay, and on the x-axis we take one parameter, and just the mathematics goes, the left side is negative and the right side is positive, right? Or less or more, and same thing for the y-axis, which is the vertical line. So you can think of, let's say, courage versus confidence, or courage versus communication, and then one of the axes you choose for courage, another axis you choose for communication, and then you start to put down the related ideas or topics onto the matrix. Okay, so this is more like a chart. Then another visual thinking method that I use prominently day in day out is correlation table. So what I do over here is, it is more like 2x2 matrix in fundamental, but in terms of the entire structure, it works like, we list down the topics, right? So let's say I've got 4 different topics or 4 different ideas. I create a table, right? And then I start. So this comes more like a 2x2 more like a matrix, but then I start mapping them together. What is, like, when A and B, what is the relation between A and B, and then I kind of list them down in that block. What is the relation between A and C, and then I list it down. The thing to see over here is, A in this case is the primary info or the anchor info, and C, all the other B, C, D, the ones in the columns, are the secondary ones. So A influences other ones, right? So that's how you kind of go about this. And when we kind of go deeper, I'll tell you how we can best make use of this. Fourth visual thinking method is charts or graphs, right? So we have seen the column chart, then pie chart, right? Then donut charts, right? And all the other kind of charts, the scatter chart or line chart, right? So these are nothing but visual tools to communicate information, and this can also be used to think visually. When we put our thoughts and ideas, which can be enumerated in a chart format next to each other, we can start making connection between what's important, what's not important, what should be prioritized, or what is the sequence, and things like that. Then another visual thinking method that is actually one of the key tool of any designer is empathy map. But it can be very well used for your own visual thinking, which is to kind of do a compass check of what you are thinking. So the empathy map goes like this. In one of the, so it is like a 2 by 2 matrix, but all the quadrants are different. We are not focusing on the axis. So one of the quadrant is feel, another one is say, do, and think. Okay, so if this helps to kind of get an understanding of maybe my current reality or future reality, or stakeholders or users current reality, future reality, or it can be used for anybody, right? Not just for self, to get in the shoes of that person and to think from that person's perspective. That's why it is called empathy map. What does the person feel like, what we think they feel like. So it can be done in two ways. One is when you are kind of writing it down, you give your perspective, and then you can check with them in conversation and then take their perspective and write it down, right? So it gives a good way of understanding. Okay, Saranya is there. Hi Saranya, good morning. All right, so we are halfway down, but you have almost joined on time. Like we are just talking about visual thinking methods, and these are some of the methods that we have already talked about. We are on empathy map. And another visual thinking method is diagram. Okay, so diagrams is little different than charts and graph. You would have seen like Venn diagrams, right? Which kind of shows. So charts is very precise. So if you remember, we were talking about mapping visual complexity, organizational complexity, and in that we kind of talked about some of the very accurate information that we map on, that we that we put on the map, and it relates to a particular position on the map. So that's what goes in chart, but in diagram, you can change the orientation and it does not change the information that it wants to communicate. So diagrams can be Venn diagram or the funnel diagram, or no, there is a flow, right? Um, and then there is set of information that needs to be communicated. So these are all diagrams, and that's an effective visual thinking method. And in Sketchnotes, we kind of make use of this very much. So this is what I can think of. Any visual thinking method that you have been using and not listed over here?
So flow charting is one that I can think of, right? Which I use extensively because I many times look at the end-to-end process, right? So where does it start? Which teams are involved? Um, and where are the distribution points amongst the teams, or handoff points between teams? So that's important for me. Sometimes we do root cause analysis, so that's where we use fishbone as well extensively.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. And all right, anything else? Anybody else? All right. And last but not the least, the most prominent visual thinking method that we all use is Sketchnote, right? Wherein it can be a combination of all of these things put together, along with the the particular note-taking method uh, that can be there. So one of the note-taking method can be Cornell note-taking. I talked about this in one of the earlier sessions, but I can do it again in some one more session. Then then there is an organic note taking methods, right, which kind of pops out anywhere on the page, and then you start making connections between each of the information items. All right. So that's about the entire visual thinking methods. Now let's look at mind map. All right. So, before I jump onto this, I want to know from you, how have you used mind map so far?
When there are complex um, systems or points that we have jot down in a research or something, and then they do not make sense at the first.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do a mind mapping session, we try to find the relation between them,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's easy to visualize it and take forward with the research.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have used for brainstorming. So if I'm stuck at anything, be it a professional or a personal life, I kind of use mind map. I write down the question at which I'm stuck at, and then I start listing down all the options all around. So one of the ways of doing that or brainstorming is, of course, to kind of write down or do it in a bullet way. But the way mind map helps us is it's more of an organic way. It kind of gives a lot of space around the main topic, so we are not restricted by, hey, we have only this much space and we have to kind of go bullet wise or in a sequence wise. Um, and another advantage of using mind map is that there is a visual way in which we show how each of the points or subtopics are related to the main topic. We can actually make use of the relational visual that we talked about earlier that day. So let's say uh, presenting complex info using mind map is the strongest one. So I kind of make that line bold, or if there is anything helps to comprehend. Okay, let's say if this is, so mind map helps to comprehend, but I think it is not very strong, so I'll just draw a dotted line over there. And then it just does not stop at this level. I can go beyond this. So when I say complex info, what kind of complex info? um, in my head, okay, out in the world, right? So these two kind of complex info I can map. Easy to visualize. How is it easy to visualize? So I'll start listing down um, icons, um, open layout, or looks cool, right? And then I can still go beyond that level. So it um, this kind of structure makes it easier to kind of um, think beyond our immediate scope of understanding. That's how mind map kind of works. So once that is done, we can start making connections between two totally unrelated points. So let's say open layout and in my head, if I make a connection like that with relation to with respect to this particular topic or the central topic, then something new can come up. So in my head, open layout, how have you used mind maps? So I have used mind maps in open layout in my head also, and that's how we kind of think, because that's how our brain is kind of structured, right? It has got neurons which are connected, and it kind of makes totally unrelated connections, um, right? So this structure is actually a reflection of what is going in our head, and that's what comes out on the mind map. I'll show one more technique of making use of mind map on steroids, right? So mind map So what happens over here, we are thinking aloud in a normal mind map, um, visual thinking. We list down each and every possible topic that is related to the central topic. Okay, what happens is it it can lead to overthinking and also information paralysis. All right, so what happens is in this case, we kind of list down certain topics and then we still think, because of the open layout format, we still keep thinking, is there anything that I'm missing out? So that's one. So that's where the overthinking kind of comes in place. We kind of keep thinking and we kind of delaying things. Second one is because all the information is kind of put together on in one single page. Uh, we are trying to make connections. It can lead to an information overwhelm. Hey, there is a lot of information. How do I make connection? And that's where the mind map on steroid helps. So what we do is, first of all, we put a timer. Okay, and we say that we are going to spend and you can decide the time, 5 minutes, let's say, for the first level of ideas. All right, and then we say that we are going to spend 10 minutes of time on the second level of ideas, and we will place all the ideas in this circular fashion only, right? So it kind of creates a hub and spoke model. uh, Now the second most important thing in this is, and we can do it in different ways. First one is, list down all the primary and secondary ideas around the central topic, and then select three most important ideas out of all of them. So let's say if I have to refer to this mind map, how have you used mind map? Which are the three most important one? I use it for brainstorm, because the question is how have you used? Brainstorm is the most important. Then list down the solution is the second one. Um, Putting down the complex info is the third one, right? And all others are more about the benefits of that central topic or the central question. So we are actually looking. So what happens in mind map normally is, when we are listing down all the related ideas, we might go overboard, or we might increase the scope of the central topic or of the main question, and then we start listing down everything that is tangentially also related to it. So what we do in steroids mode is, we are just we are analyzing all the ideas, and then we are making sure that only the ones that are actually related or which has got a very strong connection, um, we select them. So only three. And in the second level, we do the same thing. If we have kind of created another layer or set of ideas for each one of them, we select only three based on the relation of this secondary level of ideas with respect to this, the primary, and the central topic. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Another way is, when you begin, you follow a 3 by 3 rule. Okay, which is, let's say when you are doing a writing down a central topic, you think for some time, and then you just write three topics or three ideas related to them. Okay, it might require a little bit of thinking, but that's okay. What comes on the paper is something that is very strongly related to the central topic, and from there also you can still go 3 by 3. Okay, and again from that point you again go 3 by 3. So I'll stop, pause here.
Question here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Ankur.
So how you decide like which method to follow, and like is it based upon the timing? Is it based upon the like which method we should use, like 3 by 3 or like mind map and on steroids also another good method, but it's a time bound method. So we have to like define the time and then do it something. One question is this: how to decide which method to use. Another thing is like uh, what is the like how and when we use like whether we are being working as a team or being like or figuring it out by ourselves like as a solo. How and that these are the two questions I have.
Okay. Cool. So both the methods can be used in as an individual in solo setup or in a team setup. Um, the first method, which is kind of go like when you are thinking aloud the ideas or when you are thinking about the solutions, I would say the first method is good. But then it is not time bound. So it does not work when you are having, let's say, if you have to kind of get things done in 1 week. I would say use mind map on steroids wherever you have time line to be attached to that. um, when you are not sure where you are heading, there is complete ambiguity. um, it is this method that I would recommend to do because it allows to kind of bring up a lot of solutions in one single place and not just what's the top of the mind, but forces us to think beyond that also and make connections, right? So yeah, there is no answer saying that hey, mind map on steroid can be used only for individual. It can be used for both team setup as well as your own thing. Let's say you are going to present to your team about maybe your design ideas or your approach on a particular problem in half an hour. You would obviously not go for the first method, which is like think aloud. You would go with a mind map on steroids method because this will force your mind to pick things which are most important. Whereas the first one, you are relaxing and you are thinking about all the possible things that can happen, right? And 3 by 3 rule, it can help. So 3 by 3 rule can be applied to anything. It is more like a rule which is applied on top of the mind mapping framework itself. It will allow to make your, so how does it help? It can be used for both team as well as an individual setup. But the way it will help is it will help to kind of create things which is concise, succinct, and specific. Concise in a way because it is only three important information that you are focusing on, and what will happen is the first time that you think of those three things, it may not be right. um, so you go into a second round and you think about the next three things, they will come out right. So that's how it will make it concise and succinct and specific in a way, because you are always thinking about the central topic. You are not going beyond the central topic or going beyond the tangent of the central topic.
So for a specific problem, I think 3 by 3 is the right way of going.
Yeah.
Because
Also,
when we know that this particular problem is there. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Please go.
Also, if you are, let's say, no, I use this during my workshops or during the talks. So when I'm going to give a talk, instead of laying out, so I will start with the first one, wherein I'll list down all the things that I think are important, but then I'll pick only three. So that's where the 3 by 3 rule will come into place, which is I will just focus on the three because let's say if I've got 60 minutes of time to talk, or 60 minutes of time in a workshop, and I have 10 different items, um, it will never kind of fill up. It will always go beyond that time, at least from my perspective, or each of the items will only get so much of time to be discussed. Whereas in case of 3 by 3, it will allow me to focus only on the most important part or most important information that needs to be communicated.
Correct, correct. Thanks, Kumar. Thanks. It's a great explanation.
Okay, cool. Any other question? Ideas? All right. So let's do this exercise. Let's practice the mind mapping technique with 3 by 3 rule, um, about anything that's going on your head right now. Let's start with uh, what and I'm doing it for all of you to follow as a reference, but you can do it on your own for your own topic. The topics can be anything. What excites me about the day to day? What is the most worrying thing? What are my worries right now? Or what are my growth areas? Or also kind of listing down what good has happened with me in last 1 week, or what am I looking forward in the next week, right? So more like a journaling prompt, and then doing it in a mind map format. So I'm going to create a mind map for topics for next weekly warm up. are you mind mapping?
For me, it's a personal thing, so I will not be
Okay.
sharing.
Okay. Sure, sure. That's okay.
Doing something on work-life balance.
Okay, cool.
I'm working on a growth plan which puts together the all aspects of future.
Mm-hmm.
I recently came across this book, Steal Like an Artist.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, it was mentioned that if you want to find your own sketching style, you need to build a inspiration tree or inspiration graph. So I'm making that where I have certain areas to explore, and then I'm making an inspiration graph.
Amazing. Okay. Once you are done with the mind map, the bonus will be when you make a connection between uh, the secondary or tertiary topics that you listed. So, in case over here, let's say charting parameters, if I make a connection between that and growth areas, right, or growth areas and podcast, that can give me some interesting ideas. Or it can open up a new dimension to think about.